Welcome back to another episode of J Crypto. Today I'm super excited because I'm joined by Giovanni from
Giovanni, yeah,
Argus. And
from Argos NFT, yeah.
let me share my screen real quick, Giovanni, because I want to show people, it helps, I think, to show people what's kind of going on here. So when I first saw this, right? So Argus NFT, what are you guys doing here? Well, essentially what they're doing is drastically taking a major chunk at basically attacking scammers, is how I would simply say it in layman's terms. Because what happens in NFTs is we get the common meme from people that don't know much about NFTs. You can, copy and paste it, and that does actually happen to people. So when people are on a major marketplace like JPEG Store, sometimes on that recently listed page, they'll see maybe a space bud and they'll see, wait a second, this is listed for 1,000 ADA, but I thought they were 4,000 ADA. And they won't check the policy ID because maybe they're new, and they'll purchase it. And it turns out that it is a scam. In fact, somebody copy and pasted the JPEG of the space bud and minted it with a separate policy ID. But what we haven't seen yet is how to prevent that. Now, what we are seeing now is how to prevent that, which is what Argus is doing, what Giovanni is doing. And what we're seeing here is like basically how it works is a warning will pop up, Giovanni, and basically show people that this is, in fact, a fake asset and it's been detected. And it's all being done through artificial intelligence, monitored by you guys slightly, but also machine learning is in place. So, maybe still check the policy ID for people. That's what I like to say, but also know that like over time, the machine learning of the AI will get better and better to detect these closer and closer fakes of these NFTs. So that's how I would sum it up for people. Giovanni, do you want to add anything, or maybe just kind of what do you think about that for an entry point to what you guys are doing?
That's actually a really great description. First of all, Jay, thanks for having me over tonight. It really means a lot because after only like 3 or 4 days that we've gone live on JPEG Store, and the amount of love we're receiving from the Cardano community is unbelievable.
That's awesome.
It is like we've been working really quietly with this project because it was an experiment up until like a few months back. Then we had a proof of concept, and then turned out to be working. So we started to reach out with marketplaces, and we were like, guys, are you going to be interested if you come up with something like this? And we're just like, damn right we are. So then we started continue working, went like from proof of concept to a working product. And so fast forward, June, July 2022, we actually realized the first integration with JPEG Store, and we went live a few weeks back in a very quiet way, just to ensure that the integration was working. And then we announced publicly the partnership just 2-3 days ago. And yeah, that was great. That was really, really great. And your summary of what we've done is pretty accurate. Yeah. So Argos is quite a fairly complex system that is basically has ingested the a lot of NFTs that are on Cardano. So the all 5 million of them, and then our AI kicks off and basically checks what we call it internally, the so-called minting history. We check the minting history, and we check if anything has been reminted. It can either be identical or near identical. And then in case of identical or near identical, obviously there is a threshold, because that could actually be like a funny reinterpretation of space buds where they say like, I'm not trying to make a fake, I'm just like making a caricature, right? And that's not a fake. It's just like a caricature, just having fun with it. It's not trying to steal the copyright or whatever. Right. And then our algorithm we are fine tuning like over time to trying to distinguish those cases. But like the holistic view is pretty much correct. Yeah.
So what I'm so excited about this for is when I think of the next generation of NFTs, when we have people launching book tokens or audiobooks, or solidifying their music on the blockchain, right? And like, this is a much more dynamic maybe form of an NFT because it's not just a JPEG. But I do think there is something to be said for the fact that if I wanted to, for example, I could technically take pictures of a famous book and make a website and post all the pictures of that famous book so people could, instead of having to buy it, access it for free on the website. This is like a major problem with anybody who makes content, and we can see it far and wide, right? I'm saying books, but we've all, maybe tried, during a Floyd Mayweather fight to go onto one of those streaming services to catch it. And it makes the people that are making the content lose out on a tremendous amount of money. For musicians, people that write books, things of that nature. And I even think about memes. I mean, like, what is the market cap of a meme? Because they're used so often, and we don't know because you can't confine them. They're just copy and pasted. But when I think about Argus, I think about this is like the start, because sure, it will probably start on marketplaces, but is there a future where we could extend that to potentially protect content creators, whether they're artists or even creators of books, so that way when content is maybe replicated and then put onto just normal web 2 stuff, can we strike that somehow if you don't have the NFT ownership? Do you think that future exists? Because that means a whole different track for NFTs than what we're currently probably thinking about, if that future does exist, because that means everything will be an NFT potentially.
That's actually a really good point. And like you're talking about the general idea of intellectual property, right? So I own a piece of intellectual property. It can be any digital asset, right? It can be like a profile picture, like the one that we're very used in the NFT space. It can be a song. It can be a book, obviously. It can be an animated GIF or GIF. It can be a meme, obviously. So the way you can go about it is leverage blockchains for what they really are, that are immutable ledger, right? So if you are the owner of something that is your property that you created, right? What you can do is you can create an NFT of it, and you own that NFT, and you can basically demonstrate that you're the owner of the thing because that thing is in your wallet. So in a way, we are starting to define what intellectual property is by saying, I came up with this and I put it into my wallet so that if you find this thing somewhere else, that's a copy. It's a plagiarism. Someone is trying to steal the idea. And obviously there is no law that is already enforcing this type of thing, but I think that's because the NFT concept, NFT space is still so young that traditional markets, traditional institutions, they don't recognize yet really the value of such a technology. I've been talking to lots of artists in many fields. It can be science, it can be university, it can be medical, so on and so forth. And they all were coming up with something very similar to what you were saying. It's like, can we use NFT to move forward?
Like a foundation for protecting IP, even in Web 2 eventually.
And talk about many other things. Unfortunately, I can't give you many details because I went under NDA when I was discussing this thing with those people. But you're seeing something that I really love for it to happen into the future, because at the moment when you talk about NFT, the first thing people say is like the pictures. But that's only one of the way we can use it.
I hate that that's the first thing people see, because because some of us believe that, like, some of us are only here because of where this feels like it's going to, and it's not just that, man. It's so much, it can be so much more potentially. So that's what gets me excited about this whole industry. So it's also, when people don't understand these other things, I feel like it's easy to maybe not pay attention to it, to maybe discount it as well as the technology. So yeah, yeah, man, you got me fired up there for a second. But keep going.
when you say that profile picture is the only thing that people say, it's funny because like I'm having NFT Argus. What you've seen of Argus NFT actually is only the core product, right? Because there is a all set of features that you want to build around it, and I'll get to that in 1 minute. But one of the things that is really lately really keeping me up at night, but in a very positive way, is like, how can we move forward with NFTs immediately? And in the past few weeks, I've seen a big focus on digital identities, so deeds, verifiable credentials, and all these kind of things. And one of the things that I was discussing with a couple of teams that are actually making a long stride into the digital identity space with Atala Prism and so on and so forth, all these other things, is that, and I wasn't aware about this because like I know a lot of things about Cardano, how the blockchain works, so on and so forth. But like
That's a
when we
big
go into this,
pillar though, right? Like when
yeah,
you
it
go down
is.
that rabbit hole of Cardano, it's like,
Oh,
it's kind of a really interesting thing that they've already, been working on for a while, implementing in Ethiopia with the educational system. It's really an interesting pillar, is the Atala Prism. Yeah.
So there can be actually a really strong correlation between tokens as in the shape of NFT and digital identity. Basically, there is a way of connecting verifiable credentials, digital identity to an NFT and vice versa. So it's crazy. Like it's something that I would have never thought until you talk to people that are specialized into this field. So, and this is actually one of the area where we are exploring even further. Whenever I talk about Argus NFT, and this was actually also a point that Patrick Tobler in one of the roundtable with the NFT Guild has brought up like a few weeks back, is like Argus NFT like is proving to work really well under this circumstance. And when we're talking about like 5 million NFTs, how is it going to work when there are going to be like a dozen of millions, like even more? So it brings up a really good point. Scalability can be one of the limiting aspect of the power of Argus NFT. Obviously, it's going to be far down the line. We've been looking already into the future, and we were saying, why can't we integrate the magic of Argus NFT, the AI, like the automation with digital identities? So if we can combine verifiable credentials, IDs, if creators accept to get verified through a KYC KYC process, being Twitter verification, being website verification, being, I don't know, like ID card, whatever, and then combining it with the machine learning, like you start to have like a super powerful approach that can really, you can never aim to remove 100%, but you can really aim to achieve the high 90s, 95, 96, 97% of all the plagiarism and fakes scooped up from the root. This is not far away. We actually have a Catalyst proposal about that. We are partnering up with Proof Space that have been already working with Catalyst as well to implement some digital identity workflows for, I think it's a Catalyst advisor, community advisor. Sorry, that's the correct definition. And so like we're starting to see a way of partnering up and basically put together digital identity, Argus NFT and collections.
So workflows for CAs, because I know that you have a few. Sorry to interrupt there. I just don't want to miss out, because there's this aspect of partnering up or collaborating with, a marketplace like JPEG Store that you guys have done. And there's already been times where somebody's clicking on what looks like a fake and it works already. So it's like already kind of working and learning. But then there's this aspect of like, if, I don't know, Alessandro was the example we were talking about, Space Buds, for example. If Alessandro says, you know what, I just want to make sure that all these Space Buds are kind of protected. So that way, any of the fakes of my collection, let's say, there's some representation to show that it's a fake. There's this aspect of going direct to these project leads and kind of like integrating with them. So that way it shows up everywhere. On Cardano, on all the different marketplaces. And then there's this future of like cross-chain checking, because there's so many times, man, where we see copies of Bored Ape Yacht Club on Cardano, or copies of, I don't know, something from Cardano on Solana. And being able to solve that is a massive problem too. It's almost like you guys are like the first to kind of like show that, yeah, man, it's possible to start solving all of these massive problems. So one of those Catalyst proposals has been funded, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And that's the core one, right? It's the one where basically very soon at the beginning of fall, so September, October, we will be launching this platform that is called Aegis. Aegis is from the Latin and means shield, and basically is a platform where creators and collectors and traders can sign up, and for a handful of ADA, they can basically be notified whenever one of their NFTs gets minted on Cardano. And that's one. It can be a single NFT, it can be a collection, can be even just an unseen picture. So if you take a selfie and someone steals the picture and makes an NFT, you're gonna get notified.
You're freaking me out right now. So basically, if I have a major collection of all these different types of NFTs and I'm just an investor, and I'm like, I just want to make sure that nobody else is minting my NFTs on Cardano, I can actually now pay a subscription, and it's a big deal, man. That's a big deal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, this is not live yet. Give us a couple of months. We'll bring it live.
So this is
a catalyst. Yeah, sorry. This is a funded catalyst proposal. Sorry, go on.
So this is a funded catalyst proposal. Now, what are some of the catalyst proposals? Because we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the catalyst proposals that Argus NFT currently has, because voting is, it's happening, and there's a chance to really kind of promote this right now, because it's in my opinion one of the most important things to promote. And there's no sponsorship with me and Argus. We're just kind of trying to bring the some light on this, because I think people can start to see how big of a deal it is. How many catalyst proposals do you have that are asking for funding, and what are the different ones for this?
I appreciate that, Jay. And we currently have 4 catalyst proposals, and 3 of which they are completely focused on growing basically Argus NFT. So the first one is actually a pretty big one, that is about introducing deeds along with the machine learning aspect. Is a joint effort with the Proof Space team. You can find it in Catalyst, and is in the great migration from Ethereum. And you can see how we're going to be using digital identities in combination with the Argus NFT machine learning. And this is going to basically end up like putting a seal of approval on an NFT that is basically signed by a verified creator, and it's not a copy certified by Argus NFT in a way. This is the first one. And the second one, that is another very big one that
before we get, can we have some pauses before we get to the next one? Because I don't think what might go over people's heads is, in a way, this is now, because in sports cards, for example, you can go to, let's say, PSA or some of these grading companies, and you can get your cards graded, so that way they're certified, and that they're not, there's not really, it eliminates a lot of risk, is I guess the correlation I'm trying to paint, because of the fact that it not only is it sealed, which doesn't matter for NFTs because they're not physical property, but you have a graded, certified by a certified company. It's in their registry. You can look it up before you purchase it on something like an eBay. And this is kind of reminding me of like the maturity of sports cards, where they started to grade cards with NFTs. It's really an interesting concept when we think about a DID, and for even verifying a creator. It's really interesting. Can we breathe that a little bit more? Like,
sure.
Can we? Yes,
absolutely.
Expand on that for some of the use cases. I mean,
obviously. So the way it's going to work is basically that a creator, being like an artist that has a collection on a small collection on NFTs, let's say 4 or 5, right? So it has to go through a couple of iterations. The first one is to go through the creation of the creator deeds. So it will sign up on the Proof Space app and just verify themselves either as a person, so like, I don't know, ID card, passport, whatever, or they can verify their Twitter account or their website or their Discord server, one of the many social media channels. And so we have like the first level of the deeds that is on the creator, right? About the creator. Yeah. The second deeds that is going to be created and is going to be merged with the previous one at the moment the NFT is minted is basically a call, a pass of verification through Argos NFT. So the actual NFT before being minted gets scanned by Argos NFT. That is going to be checking to the mint history of Cardano. Is going to be verifying whether or not that particular digital asset was already minted or not. If it wasn't so, if it fails the validation, so if it passes it, we're going to be issuing a deed that says Argos NFT on date such and such said that there wasn't a copy of this thing on the Cardano blockchain. Those two dates get blended and merged together, and the moment the NFT gets minted, it has like this special signature, then can be further down the time, be verified and say, oh, there is this credential, can we verify it? And then you can go back into history and say, yeah, in date 15th of July, 2022, this deeds was created on proof space, and this deeds was created by Argos NFT, certifying that this is the creator and this NFT wasn't a copy.
All right. So that's really cool too, because I think it like what I love is education on different, and DIDs is something that we spend time doing some education on. And what you need to kind of make a DID is some data source of your identity. So I love how you used some different examples, like, you know, a Twitter account, or and I've heard driver's licenses and in like real world registries also be used, but that's a very practical example, and there's a few. So that's really interesting. Okay, so sorry to pause you there, but why don't we move on to the next one, because it's like we got 3 more to go, so it's exciting.
So the next one is another very big effort, and is basically the integration. So at the moment, Argos NFT only runs on Cardano, right? Right. The next step that we want to take is to go finally cross-chain, and the first blockchain we're going to go onto is Ethereum. So the second blockchain, the second proposal is to basically expand all the features that we have on Cardano, but also on Ethereum. At that moment, when we're going to be ingesting the full, I don't know, many millions of NFT of Ethereum, we will be able also to do the cross verification and scan among the two blockchains. So, if a practical example is that if a Bored Ape Yacht Club gets minted on Cardano, we will flag it as a fake because it was previously minted on Ethereum. And if Space Pods get minted on Ethereum, we will say that's a fake because the original is on Cardano. So, and this is only the second blockchain. With the time, we're going to be integrating Solana, Elrond, and all the major blockchain that make use of NFT. Can I ask
a quick question? How hard is it to get integrated with like some of these marketplaces that people use that maybe you haven't talked to yet? Is it kind of just establishing that's to me the unscalable part, that you guys just kind of have to make those relationships like one at a time, sort of? Is that kind of how it works?
This is a great question, and we are already in communication with a couple of marketplaces on Ethereum. Again, we can't say names, but some have been much more open to talk to us. Others have been a little bit less. Hopefully, making huge progress on Cardano is going to be like an incentive for those marketplaces to actually listen what we have to say. But this doesn't block us, because one of the most things that I want to say, one of the most important things that I want to say to community is that I want to make Cardano the safest blockchain on which create, collect, and trade NFTs. So it doesn't matter if other marketplaces of other blockchain are closing the doors to us. We're still protecting creators and traders on Cardano. So if someone gets Bored Ape Yacht Club and remains on Cardano, they have no way to go. We're going to be flagging them first to the last. Obviously, the opposite is possible as well. If you subscribe for that business to customer approach, you say, like, I have a very precious collection on Cardano. I don't want that to be reminted. I want to be informed if there is like a remint somewhere else. You'll get an email, and then you can call or send an email to OpenSea and say, hey, I got my Space Pods reminted and now it's listed on OpenSea. Can you take that asset down? Because that's a fake.
Until they integrate. So like, let me ask you this then, because obviously being a company of the size that you guys are, you know, not super huge yet, it's kind of like you have this product that has immediately, people see the value in it. It works, it's working. It's still learning, but it works. It solves a massive problem. So I guess I'm curious on where that pushback is coming from. Do you think it's because, you know, pre-integrating with JPEG Store and having that kind of history when you were talking to some of these other market, did they just not take you serious because they didn't, you know, see it? But now they might, because of like what, you know, because you've actually implemented it. It could be like there's not much to talk about. You could show them.
So I think there are two answers, or like there are two things that weigh into this. And the first one is that this is like a complex problem to solve. It's not straightforward, and it really requires strong understanding of good engineering principles, but also machine learning. And the sheer amount of data is actually huge. In order for Argus NFT to work, it needs to see all the ever minted NFTs. And at the moment of talking, we are talking about terabytes of data. And this is Cardano, it is a small blockchain. So you can imagine when we decide to go on Ethereum, the scale is going to be like possibly tenfold bigger, right? So it's going to be 50 terabytes. I don't know. We will find out very, very soon. And this is the first thing. And the second thing is that I think some of those players in the Ethereum space, they are actually trying to solve those problems themselves, but only looking after their own blockchain. They're not going to go cross blockchain. So if you think that there can be like not all the marketplaces on Ethereum, on Solana, or Elrond, they earn millions and they can implement this thing by themselves. So they're just not going to implement anything like this. But they would rather possibly integrate with someone that is selling it as a service. So hopefully what I see into the future is that we will become a provider for many marketplaces that will buy our service and protect their marketplace without having to implement those features themselves, because it's really high. It requires like lots of engineering costs to implement something like this. So hopefully us selling those things as a service to those marketplaces is gonna help to solve those problems cross-chain.
I think the craziest thing, Giovanni, is that whenever I look at things like this, it's like, because you're able to sell this as a service to a marketplace. Now, when I look at that and I think of how big of a problem this is, I have to ask, why is there not maybe more competition? Like, why are we just seeing this first proof of concept now? What's so, like, what is kind of stopping people from building this before now? Even on Cardano, it's been a problem. We haven't seen that solution. If there's an opportunity for this tech to be so impactful and sell it as a service, I would figure that there'd be a ton of entrepreneurs kind of jumping at the hip to solve this problem, man. Like,
maybe there is someone else that, as we were very quietly building this, they're doing the same somewhere else. But I think we found one of these answers a month back. I don't have the link to the article handy, but basically OpenSea admitted that they had a huge fraud issue that it was, I think, into the figure of the dozen of millions. And then we're just like, we don't know how to fix it, so we're gonna just like, we're just gonna keep it. It doesn't matter. And I was just like, oh my god, are you for real? It's like you earn a ton of money per year and you can't afford of hiring an engineering team and solve this problem once and for all. Again, I think I am very lucky as an engineer, because in my past I've been working exactly with a similar concept that I'm using into solving this problem in Cardano. That I used to work for an e-commerce where we were basically doing visually similar recommendations, right? So like if you're buying a flowery dress, we were recommending like a similar flowery dress. So I'm just like, maybe I can use the same approach to solve this problem on the fake NFTs on Cardano. So here we are.
So yeah, because I was thinking your team must have some special like value too. Like that's because otherwise I feel if it was easy and not difficult, I feel like it would have been done with things like OpenSea really quick. So that makes more sense to me. Maybe you just have the right kind of background and in the right circumstances, and the team is good to be able to tackle this. But I know that there's a few more Catalyst proposals. So sorry to interrupt for the audience.
No, you're okay.
I think it was valuable. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like the last two are less belonging to the core of Argus. So the next one is we call it internally the Google search for the NFTs on Cardano. We don't have so first of all, you can see all our proposals. They are summarized into our website. It is argusnft.com. So we have a section where we list them all.
Description too.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And basically, we want to build also a search engine where basically you can search for NFTs by the name, by the property, by the collection, by the trait. So for instance, if there is a space pad that has, I don't know, an helmet and a sword, you can say space pads helmet, and then it's going to return only the space pads with the helmet. But like the nicest thing is search with the images. So if you take a picture of I don't know, something you find, an NFT of someone, but you don't know whether it is on Cardano, whether it is on Ethereum, just take a picture with this and you go like search. It's gonna look on for the first proposal, it's going to be only Cardano, but it's going to basically see if we can find similar NFTs to the one you snapped, basically. And we have a teaser on YouTube where basically we have like a super simple Android app that you take a picture of a chilled Kong, and it returns the list of all the chilled Kong and the one that looks the most similar like that one. And then if that chilled Kong is available for purchase, you click buy and you go straight away on JPEG store. So that's our third proposal. So basically the most comprehensive search engine for NFTs.
And why I think that could be really valuable to have too, just thinking out loud here. And I haven't quite thought of this at all before right now, but so, you know, feel free to jump in and kind of like play around with this idea or thought. But when I think about things like using our NFTs on social media and having a verified like NFT on social media, and then somebody seeing my verified NFT, let's say, and wanting to maybe purchase from the same collection, I feel like these kinds of sources of data could be very important long term with these big tech players that have the platforms to Spotify, you know, whatever you want, really, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter. Is there kind of like, because we can sort of I guess not really take the picture and search, but we can definitely take like the name of the collection and search pretty easily. So I think the picture and the data, do you see any ties of this being a foundation maybe to build something broader in terms of bridges with like things like I mentioned, like social media apps or other ideas?
There are an immediate usage of such a search engine can be any sort of marketing, right? So if you're interested in a collection or in a specific NFT, but that one is not available for sale because it's not up for sale, but you want to find something similar, right? You can start searching from there. So there is an opportunity of creating more like a marketing style type of revenue for both individuals and for marketplaces. The second thing is there is like a very basic usage. Sometimes like you see a really nice profile picture on Twitter by someone and you're like, oh, that's really nice collection. I want one of them. But you go like, I don't even know where to start from, right? So you just like take that picture, you put into the engine, and then you find it. Or you can describe what that picture is, and hopefully you'll find the collection and that very same element. Definitely, there can be some nice integration that can be used with the social media and Web 2.0. And again, that can be like some sort of like creating networks of user, or try to find like how users can be connected together with socials or whatever. But there are many usages that can be done as well.
Like, I could see Argus becoming an ecosystem here, because if you have your Twitter account tied to your DID and you have your verified, you know, NFT, and somebody's kind of like clicks on it maybe, right? And now instantly there's a little, you know, way to go to the other part of Argus, which is like this sort of search engine to show you more details on the collection, where these are sold, maybe different pieces of that collection that are sold. It kind of seems like it's this big data ecosystem. It could be like forming into an ecosystem too, interoperable with each other, these different aspects. Do you kind of see it maybe possibly becoming the same way over time, I guess?
Yes, absolutely. there are lots of companies that they live on data, right? So
it's really important, right?
So this could definitely be a funnel to basically acquire lots of data that can turn into marketing later. But like at the moment, our attention is not on monetizing, but providing tools for the community to use, because there isn't on any blockchain a really powerful search engine for NFT, and there isn't definitely one for Cardano. So we want to start from there. Obviously, this is not part of the core architecture of Argus, but can definitely be a nice extension to complement something that can then be integrated with the other marketplaces, smaller marketplaces, or even smaller marketplaces, or even bloggers, for instance. Like if you're one thing that I learned from my early days into the marketing space is that there is this this marketing thing called the affiliate program, right? So if you're not a creator but you love the art, you understand about the art, and like you want to create like a nice blog and you want to monetize it, how can you do that? So you can talk about different collections, you can talk about the Clay Nation, you can talk about all the very cool initiatives that are happening on Cardano or Ethereum, but like how can I monetize it? So you can say, I can use like this search engine to basically index a few of those NFTs on my blog and always only show the ones that are available for sale, so that I can click buy and then I can get the commission on the sale. So this way, creators that are not necessarily artists, but they love talking about NFT, like this could be something for you as well. That
Well,
in your channels, you can get like a small marketing revenue, and say like or emerging.
This opens that up, because like there's the whole, you know, I'm not a financial advisor, and when you have people kind of doing that in an, you know, maybe a soon to be illegal way, which I stay away from, which is basically like I hold a bunch of XYZ, or somebody, you know, holds a bunch of XYZ projects and then starts shilling it so that way people buy it and then they're, you know, hands done. But the way to monetize by being a creator hasn't been explored yet, because we don't have the infrastructure where I can, you know, have this direct kind of relationship with either other collectors of maybe a project I'm talking about, or at least the project, right? So that way when things are, that is interesting. How do you see that kind of like, so as a YouTuber that talks about something without getting into, I guess, trouble and shilling something, but just saying, hey, there's, you know, this is really an interesting project because it is, and here's actually what they're doing, and this is not financial advice, but here's the links. I do get an affiliate commission if you purchase any of these. Is that relationship with, like, how do you see that relationship? Is that with the marketplace, with the owners of the NFTs, or with the project? Like where's that relationship where X party?
It is with the marketplace, because like if we bring this example back to the traditional affiliate program, and you have like something like Amazon that is selling product, and you're basically saying, I bought this razor, for instance, and I love it, and here is link to buy it. Like at the end of the day, you're doing exactly the same thing. You say, I bought, I don't know, a Clay Nation, and I really love them, and here there is a bunch of Clay Nations that are up for sale, and hey, if you buy one of these, I'll get 3% or 5%. That's the idea, is exactly the same. We're not inventing anything new. We're just like creating the bridge that is currently missing.
That's amazing, by the way. I'm pumped for that, because I was curious too, like that's, I think, the right way for marketplaces too, because what I have seen or talked to some developers about is this, you know, ability to kind of list our own NFTs post Vassal hard fork. I'm not sure how like, but we're going to be able to, from our own wallets, be like essentially list an NFT, send it to a smart contract, and somebody else that sends the correct amount of ADA that we set to that same smart contract, it just kind of sends them the NFT and gives, so there's no marketplace involved. But my question for that was like, well, where's like the visibility, you know, because I think that's where marketplaces that use influencers, creatives, and strike those kinds of affiliate programs can stay very relevant when we do have the functionality. But I also see some potential there. I'm just not sure how it manifests. It's really early for that stuff, but it is interesting. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Absolutely. It is interesting, but like we have to think also if the relation has to be with every single marketplace, or we can create sort of aggregator, so that if there is like again, if there is a blogger that is really into NFTs, do I have to become an affiliate of JPEG Store, or CNFT.io, Free Roam, and then OpenSea, and then this and that? Can I just talk to just one entity that proxies all these things for me, so that I only talk to one, and this guy is basically creating a channel to all the other one, a sort of gateway, if you know what I mean.
Way easier, yeah.
So at the beginning, obviously, we need to start from somewhere, because I guess 10 years ago when affiliate marketing started, I don't think there were like 50 marketplaces, hundreds of marketplaces, of thousands of marketplaces. There were a handful. And then the first one came up with the idea and said, I start with those two. And now, obviously, like you can create automatic banner or AdWords or whatever, and then the advertisement is automatic. I don't want to say that we are creating the AdWords for NFT, but something similar to that one. Like you can create a little strip or a little search, and you say like, these are like 5 chilled Kong that are up for grab, and you make a nice review of the chilled Kong, and then if you sell, you get a commission.
I think this is so important right now, because we haven't even explored like NFT tickets or real person events. You know, all that stuff is coming. So when I'm talking about a real person event, that's an NFT that people can get, and I can get a commission from that, like that's gonna happen. You're gonna see people do that.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Let's not forget that one of the things as a community, and I say this like to everybody that is watching us today, is that we need to grow Cardano, because like we have an amazing product, an amazing blockchain, and a super cool community, but we are still small. We need to grow, and one of the ways is creating tools for people to get familiar with us, with other products, with our marketplaces, with our creators, with our community. Obviously, Profile Pictures collections, they are like super cool, they're super colored, like full of creativity, but like you're mentioning, obviously, concert tickets, events, and all those kind of things. That's we need to create the gateways for people to get super quickly, super familiar with these products. And obviously, a powerful search engine is something that will definitely help in exploring what the blockchain has to offer, what the marketplaces have to offer, what the creators have to offer. Obviously, at the beginning, it's going to be like something simple, but with the time, we can build something that can be extremely powerful.
I mean, can you imagine when people that buy a product in bulk can essentially realize, you know, and all of the things are set up properly, that if they pre-sell the NFTs of, let's say, bicycles, just for fun, and let's say if they buy 500 to 1,000 bicycles at once, it literally costs them like 30% less than if they were to buy individual bicycles. So pre-selling those NFTs and having all these affiliate marketers, you know, hey, get a real bicycle in the form of an NFT, you know, and it's kind of like this way to calculate your costs, because based on how many bicycles sell for the wholesale, you know, buyers who are then going to be shipping those products to people. I just think that there's something to that is you can't almost, I don't know, it's interesting to me. It's really interesting, but maybe that's not the best example. It's
no, you're bringing something important. I am originally from Italy, if it wasn't clear enough, and I have a couple of friends that are actually.
You gotta talk with your hands more. Right?
That's the reason why I put the camera up, so you can see my hands going crazy down here.
Move. Yeah, that's cool.
So one of my delegates actually is a grape farmer. So, and he actually works in Venice, around Venice, and his grapes are used to produce DOC and DOCG wine. I was like, Joe, I really want to do something with the blockchain so that I can certify that the bottle I'm selling, the grapes are coming from my vineyard, so on and so forth. So imagine if there was like an indexing system where you can go like kind of an Amazon way. It's like, I want to shop for wines, and I want to get only the DOC that are certified on the Cardano blockchain, and they have a certificate in the form of an NFT. And you've done it. So this search engine will actually allow you to create a search engine for certified DOC Chianti bottle from Tuscany, or from a Gavi bottle from Venice, or a Prosecco bottle from Valdobbiadene.
Have you, so I know you've seen Itala Prism, but have you checked out Itala Scan yet? Have you heard
I
of
know
that?
that Trustpilot has done an experiment with Atala Prism and Cardano. There was a pilot collection. I think it was with wine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Itala Scan with wine, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So there
I
you
mean,
go.
the NFC that also,
Yes.
it basically for the audience too. I talk about Italascan a lot, but I'm excited for it because there is not just a counterfeit market over on OpenSea. It's actually worldwide. So the funny thing is like with the NFC, that basically is where the wine bottle is sealed. If somebody were to open that verified vintage wine bottle of a certain, year, it would actually report to the blockchain that this has been, this has been tampered with too. So you have the other side of that, which is so interesting, man. Like all of these infrastructures, what you guys are doing, I think are going to allow this industry to yield a lot of things. Was there a fourth catalyst proposal before?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
again is a joint effort, and it's called the Ethereum and Cardano Community Map for NFTs. This is a collaboration between us, the NFT Guild, Fluid7, and I can't remember the full list, but is a joint effort where we're basically going to be collecting data and trying to represent those data of how projects are interconnected with each other. NFT, obviously, projects are connected within each other, and how they are connected on the Ethereum blockchain and how are connected on the Cardano blockchain, and if there are cross-chain, we call it a cross-pollination influence. This is going to be interesting because we've worked on a proof of concept already. I'm going to be giving you the link to this because actually it's really, really cool. We can try to find out how those groups, creators, companies that are working into the NFT space are actually all interconnected to each other. I don't know if you ever seen like this 3D animated picture that you can mess around with, where there are like, it's called the planetary representation, where we have like, I don't know, all the NFT collections and how they are related to each other. And then you can move this 3D, 3D collection, and you can see which one is connected to the other one. So we're going to be creating something like this. And obviously the outcome of this thing is exploratory. Like we live in a so fast environment, in so fast community, so fast technology, that sometimes we forget to look back and really see how things are interconnected to each other, how they've influenced each other, how to learn more things. Like there is this collection, how did they get in touch with this other collection? Then you find out that the creators, they all know each other, they all influence each other one way or another. So this is basically a tool for exploring and exploiting basically what it has been already done on Cardano and Ethereum, and how the two things have influenced each other.
So when I hear that, man, like this is another, I think where you guys are so special is you're kind of like, and what I love is that you're working with other groups too, because that's what Catalyst is great for, by the way. As a CA in past funds and a VCA, what I've noticed is that's what sometimes also helps proposals get funding too, is when people group up and work on things together. But yeah, man, it's like these are seeds that can grow into like different trees and then yield all sorts of different fruit. So I am familiar with those kinds of diagrams, and what I think immediately of is like collaborations, between NFT projects. And it's great to have some history where that, I don't know, let's say Clay Nation and Space Buds did a collab and it's Clay Buds, and that there's an NFT out there or a group of them that are that collaboration. But to refine that data and put it in a visual place and track the history of it is going to be just super important in the future, to go back and see who is and who was. What are some other kinds of because you wouldn't be working on this if you didn't find it important. What is some other kinds of, I guess, incentives for you and the other parties to build this out that you think is very important, besides just recording the maybe history of what has happened?
I think it's an opportunity to look holistically to the ecosystem and see if there are opportunities that haven't been seen before, and or something that is missing. This can be seen not only as a NFT collections or creators. This is seen also as analyzing the marketing and the infrastructure that is in place. So, for instance, in Cardano, we have NFT Maker that is one of the most powerful minting platform we have. But there are other minting platform. Obviously, each one of them has a different segment of the market they're going after. There are different
Can I say
opportunities,
one quick?
features.
So
Go for it.
are you kind of feeling like this will help when things get overlooked to be kind of like spotlighted?
Also, like we are a very complex ecosystem, and I don't think that anyone has the full picture. So the first thing that I want to build alongside with other teams is to bring clarity and say, this is all that we have. Are we missing anything? Or is there an opportunity that hasn't been picked up yet? Because if there is an opportunity, we can fund it, for instance, through Catalyst, find someone who wants to develop this thing and bring value to the community. Or if someone has a challenge and someone else has already resolved this challenge, but you don't know who these guys are in the space of the NFT, how can we create this connection? So many times, you know what happened, and this has happened to me like many times. And I wanted to build this did solution that is the first proposal I've been talking to, but I didn't know who was working already with this. So I started to enroll to the Adala program, and they told me it's a 2 months thing, it's a full time, and then you have an exam, and then Adala is changing every day. So if I wanted to work with Adala, for me, starting from scratch would have been like a super huge effort. Then I joined that Discord, and then all of a sudden, this guy from Space, super nice guy, was like, hey, I've done everything you need already. Let's work together. If there was a community map for NFTs and DEEDs, I would have just go like, search for NFT and DEEDs Cardano, blah, and there are 3 companies. I was like, website. If you go on Google and you say Adala Prism Cardano DEEDs, you find the program, you find IOG, you don't find ProSpace because they're not big enough. So what we're basically doing is we are connecting the dots. We are creating the missing links. We're putting the smaller teams that have a huge product, but they are not known. We are putting them under the spotlight. And if we find an opportunity that hasn't been picked up yet, we'll highlight it to the community and say, hey guys, is there anyone crazy enough that wants to do this specific thing that no one has done yet, but definitely is going to have an impact inside the ecosystem? Obviously, you take this and you bring it to Ethereum. Ethereum could be the opposite. Like there can be like a so comprehensive ecosystem that we can compare theirs against ours and see where we are stronger, where we are weaker, what's missing, what they have more, what we have more, or what we can be better at. So I think this is a really good experiment, and we owe this to the community. This is, I think, a tool, and it's going to be fundamental to get the feedback from the community, what they want to see as well, because we're going to be collecting the data and offer them a way of visualizing it. But then if they want to see the data in a different way, we want to hear from the community, because this is going to be a tool for them to basically do exploration.
That's amazing. Right. That's a multi-dimensional beneficial tool. So before we kind of start to wrap up here, one of the things I thought of as, I guess, a YouTuber, and I could see how other roles and people could think of different use cases, because even as you talked about this, I could see a use case for, discoverability of even content creators on Cardano who do things like affiliate marketing, because sometimes projects are probably looking for that, but maybe there's some kind of, what was interesting to me though, is there's also discoverability for new content creators that cover certain things, and like being able to post how much time they've put into YouTubing or how many episodes they have too. And like, I can kind of see like this need for people who educate, I guess, not even just on YouTube, but on Twitter Spaces and all these different platforms to also put themselves in there. So that way it's a full ecosystem picture. It's like everything. It's from the content creators to the developer houses like M Labs to the projects to the small projects that built proof of concepts, but it never went anywhere for whatever reason, but they have the tech or they have the know-how to do it. It's like I guess putting our ecosystem on a map and allowing that to be accessed. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's exactly it. One day when this is going to be ready, there is going to be my name, your name, and on the arc that is connecting us, there is going to be Argus NFT, because this is how we met each other, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. And obviously, who's exploring this? Okay. Who's exploring this connection was like, so Joe is working on Argus NFT. Jay is interested in this type of thing. So it means that Jay is into NFTs. It's into trust within the community. Is obviously you're marked as a YouTuber, so content creator. So all of a sudden you see like you're creating opportunity. If there is a new guy that is working on another feature and needs support to get his project to be reviewed and discussed with the community, is gonna go like, oh God, this Joe guy that was in my same situation and he spoke to Jay and then they made this nice video that they're shooting today. I was like, maybe I'll talk to Jay and see if he's interested in what I'm working on. So instead of just like, I was just there waiting for someone to contact me, I can be proactive and I use this map to build my network, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so we covered pretty much the gamut. That was a lot, man. I'm really excited about this conversation because it does kind of I think it's humbling in a way to step back from the visionary. Sometimes we get really excited, right, when we think like, oh, one day we're going to all be able to protect our IP and content and kind of recognize where we're at. But it's also more exciting from the fact that something's actually being done about it, right? And it's not necessarily visionary mode, which I think we're often in, or a lot of people are in, that believe in this tech or invest in this tech, right? Is like the way, 30-year vision. But what's being done now is super interesting and still very impactful. So those Catalyst proposals, we'll put them in the description. I have no doubts people will want to vote for those because they actually do make a massive difference. And is there anything else, Giovanni, before we kind of close out on anything?
I just want to thank you pretty much for your time. Like we only connected like a couple of days ago, and we're already having this beautiful conversation. We're an hour in, and it felt like 5 minutes. I just want to thank you, and I want to thank you the community for supporting us the first time. I ask you kindly to support us again. Argus has already demonstrated to make a big impact, and we want to take this to the next stage and help us growing the Cardano community and bring more creators to Cardano and keep Cardano and make Cardano the safest blockchain to create, trade, and connect and collect NFTs. So thank you very much.
Cool. No, that's awesome. And just one last kind of thing here I'll say about Giovanni too, just because we've had a chance to talk for an hour. It's kind of interesting because I can see why the Cardano community probably loves Argus and yourself, because there's like this scientific approach that I can see you're attempting to create here, and I think Cardano loves that because we believe that that's the proper way to do things, and it works for us. It's I think one of our strengths. Besides that, there is this interesting part of the interview where it felt like in fact, I think people could tell it, you have this like e-commerce kind of business mind on how things have worked in Web 2 that you're bringing to this space, which is really awesome to highlight. And then this engineering perspective. So I think that it's awesome that you're in this ecosystem, man. And yeah, thanks one more time. And we'll definitely put all the links in the description. Make sure to follow Argus to stay up to date. I'm going to end the recording, but Giovanni, I'll talk to you after I pause the recording, I guess. For the J Crypto audience, we'd love to hear from you. What did you think of the interview, I guess? But more importantly, go check out those proposals and make sure to vote. And we'll see you next time. That's J Crypto. That's Giovanni. Peace.
Thanks, bye.